Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. Authorities in Montana say that an Army veteran is finally in custody following a tense week-long manhunt after he allegedly gunned down 4 people inside a small-town bar. The shooting happened Friday morning, August 1st, just after 10:30 a.m. at the Owl Bar in downtown Anaconda. Investigators say the suspect, Michael Paul Brown, lived next door to the bar and walked in armed with a rifle, opening fire without warning. 4 people, 64-year-old bartender Nancy Loretta Kelly, and patrons 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey, 70-year-old David Allen Leach, and 74-year-old Tony Wayne Palm were all killed at the scene. Following the shooting, Brown was captured on surveillance video shirtless and barefoot, hiding in a structure near his house. Several items, including clothing belonging to him, were later found there, though by the time police arrived, he had fled. Within hours, authorities say Brown was spotted again, this time near a stolen white Ford F-150 filled with clothing, food, and outdoor survival gear. That truck was later linked to some rugged, heavily wooded terrain west of Anaconda in an area known as Stumptown. Residents in Anaconda and the surrounding area were quickly put on high alert and warned that Brown, who served in the Army and later the Montana National Guard, was believed to be well armed and extremely dangerous. More than 250 personnel from multiple agencies, including the FBI and the U.S. Marshals Service, were brought in to assist with the manhunt. This incredibly tense situation lasted 7 full days, until the afternoon of August 8th. That's when Brown was finally located about 5 miles away from the original crime scene. At the time, he was near another bar. Brown was reportedly armed at the time, though was taken into custody without serious incident. Authorities have since said that they believe Brown was, quote, flushed out by their activities, as he was found in an area that had been previously searched and cleared. They also thanked members of the public whose tips they say were crucial in helping to make the arrest. As for a motive behind the disturbing incident, that's still under investigation, though family members who spoke to the media claim that Brown has struggled with severe mental health issues for years. One relative told reporters that he was never the same following his military service, particularly after his deployment to Iraq. His niece, Claire Boyle, called Brown, quote, a sick man who doesn't know who he is sometimes and frequently doesn't know where or when he is either. Still, officials say that their primary focus now is seeking justice for the 4 victims of last week's deadly shooting. Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen summed up the situation this way, stating, quote, by all indications, this is an unstable individual who walked in and murdered 4 people in cold blood for no reason whatsoever. The investigation continues. Authorities in Hunterdon County, New Jersey say that they are investigating a truly chilling case this week after a veteran New Jersey state trooper allegedly shot and killed his ex-girlfriend and her new partner before turning his weapon on himself. According to investigators, the situation began on the evening of Friday, August 1st, when 45-year-old New Jersey State Police Lieutenant Ricardo Santos laid in wait outside the home of 33-year-old veterinarian Lauren Samonchik in the Pittstown section of Franklin Township. Surveillance footage from cameras Lauren had installed in her car reportedly shows Santos following her from her veterinary office in Long Valley to her residence, arriving just before 6 p.m. Roughly 10 minutes later, a figure can be seen emerging from the woods near her driveway. Prosecutors say that around 6:30 p.m., Lauren's boyfriend, 29-year-old Tyler Webb, arrived at the home and parked next to her car. It's believed that the pair were then confronted by Santos, who opened fire in what investigators have called a targeted attack. Both victims were fatally shot, with family members later revealing that Lauren was struck in the back while she was trying to run away. Shockingly, police were called to the area just after 7 p.m. that night with reports of gunshots and screaming. However, responding officers were apparently unable to locate the source of the noises and left. The following day, at around 12:20 p.m., Franklin Township Police received another 911 call, this time from Lauren's father. He and Lauren's sister had found her and Tyler's bodies after going to check in on them. When officers arrived, they confirmed that, sadly, both of them were dead. As the investigation got underway, detectives quickly identified Santos, who once served on the protection detail for Governor Phil Murphy. as the prime suspect. The manhunt ended within hours when Santos was found dead in his white Mercedes in Piscataway, about 50 miles away, from what officials say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. A semi-automatic handgun, believed to be the murder weapon, was recovered beside him. Family members say that the tragedy came after nearly a year of terrifying harassment that began shortly after Lauren ended her 3-month relationship with Santos in September of 2024. Lauren's sister alleges that he stalked her, damaged her car, tampered with her gas tank, placed recording devices in her home, and repeatedly called from restricted numbers despite being blocked. Lauren's mother, Janine, says her daughter tried repeatedly to get help from law enforcement, including attempting to obtain restraining orders. But despite Santos's unhinged and escalating behavior, almost nothing was done to help her. Janine said in an interview this week, quote, "A lot of agencies failed her. She tried to get restraining orders. Nobody called her back." Since last week, tributes for both Lauren and Tyler have poured in. Staff at Long Valley Animal Hospital described Lauren as a dedicated veterinarian and one of the kindest souls you could ever encounter. Meanwhile, the Pinewood Pioneer Volunteer Fire Company, of which Tyler Webb was a member, thanked him for his years of service, writing, quote, "He held the positions of chief engineer, past lieutenant, and past trustee during his time with the company. His contributions to our company and community will never be forgotten." Hunterdon County Prosecutor Renee Robeson has confirmed the case is being treated as an act of domestic violence. For Lauren's family, the loss has been compounded by frustration over what they view as missed opportunities to intervene. As her sister put it, quote, "We need to hold more people of authority accountable." At the time of this recording, the investigation remains active, and it appears the Franklin Township Police Department has not commented on its response, both leading up to and on the night of the killings. Authorities in Jackson, Tennessee say that a week-long manhunt has finally come to an end after a convicted felon accused of killing 4 people was captured thanks in part to a sharp-eyed local resident. Police say that the suspect, 28-year-old Austin Drummond, was wanted in connection with a horrifying quadruple homicide that took place on July 29th in Tiptonville, a town located about 100 miles from Memphis. The victims, 21-year-old James Wilson, 20-year-old Adriana Williams, 38-year-old Courtney Rose, and 15-year-old Braden Williams, were all found dead that Tuesday. Chillingly, an infant related to all 4 victims was discovered abandoned in a car seat on the front lawn of a stranger's home. It has since been revealed that James and Adriana were the baby's parents, Courtney was the child's maternal grandmother, and Braden was a maternal uncle. Investigators say Drummond was already out on bond for an attempted murder charge at the time of the killings. He also has a long criminal history, including a 13-year prison sentence for aggravated robbery and retaliation, and multiple contraband-related charges while behind bars. Following the murders, a massive search effort was launched. Police in Jackson recently released surveillance video showing Drummond approaching a local church late on August 3rd, at which time he was armed with a rifle and wearing camouflage clothing with a brown backpack. The sighting was just 4 miles from where his abandoned vehicle had been found days earlier. By Tuesday morning, the manhunt reached a turning point. Local painter, Ricardo Contreras, says he was working at a home in Jackson when he spotted a figure moving in some nearby woods. Believing it could be Drummond, he called 911. Just 15 minutes later, officers moved in and arrested the suspect without further incident. Contreras says he wasn't after the $37,000 reward being offered. He simply wanted to get the accused killer off the streets so his family could sleep safely again. At the time of his arrest, Drummond was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, and multiple weapons offenses. Officials say 3 alleged associates, 23-year-old De'Ara Sanders, 29-year-old Tanaka Brown, and 28-year-old Giovanni Thomas, have also been arrested and charged with accessory after the fact, with Brown facing an additional count of tampering with evidence. Authorities say the murders do not appear to have been random, and that Drummond was apparently dating the sister of one of the victims of the quadruple murder. Still, a clear motive behind the disturbing crime has yet to be confirmed. In addition to all of this, authorities say Drummond is also now being investigated for drug smuggling, which he was allegedly involved in both during and after his release from prison. It's also alleged that he has ties to a violent street gang known as the Vice Lords, and may have been getting help from its members during his time on the run. At the time of this recording, Drummond remains in custody as the investigation continues. A normally quiet rural Pennsylvania community was rocked this week when a 61-year-old resident fatally shot his female neighbor, then opened fire on responding state troopers and an EMT in what police say was a calculated ambush. Authorities say the gunman, identified as Carmine Fano, killed 57-year-old Lori Wasco outside her home along State Route 171 around 11 a.m. on August 7th. When troopers Joseph Parachinsky and William Jenkins arrived, police say Fano unleashed dozens of rounds from a semi-automatic rifle, hitting both men, who thankfully were wearing ballistic vests. Despite being shot twice in the chest, Chinsky managed to flag down a passing tractor-trailer and ordered the driver to block the road, preventing more civilians from driving into the line of fire. On top of this, he applied a tourniquet to Jenkins before other troopers could reach them. Amidst the carnage, Fano also fired at an SUV driven by a responding EMT, forcing the vehicle off the road and injuring the driver, who fled on foot to hide from the gunman. Police say Fano even shot down a police drone deployed to the scene, all while sitting near a propane tank officers feared could be used as a bomb. Negotiators attempted to get him to surrender, but when Fano refused and continued to pose a threat, members of the Special Emergency Response Team shot and killed him. Both wounded troopers were airlifted to hospitals and are now in stable condition, as is the injured EMT. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro praised the first responders, calling Parachinsky's actions heroic and saying he quite likely saved the life of his partner. The motive behind the awful situation remains unclear, though investigators believe the attack was planned. Still, locals say violence like this is unheard of in their town. One resident, Erica Mills, told reporters, quote, "This is a very, very quiet place. There's never been anything like this before." A single mother is recovering from severe injuries after a brutal downtown mob attack that went viral nationwide, leading to at least 6 arrests and a call for tougher laws against violent offenders. An Ohio native and mother of 3, only identified publicly as Holly, was celebrating a friend's birthday on July 26th when she called an Uber to head home. While waiting near the corner of 4th and Elm Streets around 3 a.m., multiple fights broke out. Holly says she saw a man being beaten in the street while crying for help, prompting her to intervene. In an interview, she later told reporters, quote, "I felt it was necessary to at least jump in and try to help and save this man's life. It looked like they were about to kill him." But moments later, Holly was hit and slammed to the ground, knocked unconscious, and left bleeding from her mouth. Video footage shows her lying motionless on the asphalt before eventually retreating to her Uber. Police have arrested 6 people in connection with the attack. 38-year-old Patrick Rosemond, 39-year-old Jermaine Matthews, 34-year-old Montiana's Merriweather, 24-year-old Dakira Vernon, 37-year-old Dominique Kittle, and 25-year-old Aisha Devon, all facing various assault-related charges. Authorities say another suspect remains at large. Holly drove herself to the hospital the next day, where doctors diagnosed her with a severe concussion, neurological damage, and vision problems. She remains uncertain about the long-term effects. Beyond the physical harm, she says the psychological toll has been devastating, forcing her into hiding as she recovers from threats and online harassment. She has since teamed up with Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno to propose Holly's Act, which would set higher minimum sentences and bail requirements for violent offenders. She also heavily criticized the response from both police and government officials, saying that they have downplayed what happened and that police who responded to the scene did not seem to care about her and the other victims. The case has drawn attention across the country, largely for its racial overtones, as all of the arrested suspects are black. However, the case appears to be more complicated than how it's been portrayed by many media outlets. While many have characterized the situation as simple black-on-white violence, in video footage of the attack, at least one of the white people involved can be heard repeatedly hurling racial slurs at those around him. He also appears to be actively pursuing people in between scuffles and initiating further conflict. On top of this, witnesses have since said that there were many more people actually trying to break up the fight than originally reported. While Holly herself characterized the situation as a racial hate beatdown, she also said that she didn't want to pit black and white people against each other. In an interview, she stated, quote, "I don't want this to become a black versus white situation. I don't want the white people to start saying bad things about black people or it become a rioting issue. It's unfortunate that these people made it into hate, but I don't want retaliation where there's white versus black going on out there." Still, what is clear is that the whole thing is incredibly serious and upsetting, and given the elements at play here, it has the potential to get even more volatile. Right now, investigators are still trying to get to the bottom of exactly what happened and why, and further arrests could be made. As for those currently facing charges, if convicted, they could face up to nearly 30 years in prison. The situation is still developing. A Texas man with a long history of disturbing behavior is facing new charges this week after he was recently accused of approaching two young girls at an elementary school and asking them to change his diaper. The whole thing took place shortly before 6 p.m. on July 29th, when an 11-year-old girl and her friend were riding their bikes in the city of Tyler. The girls were passing through the parking lot of Andy Woods Elementary School when suddenly they were cut off by a man in a truck. The man proceeded to get out of the vehicle wearing nothing but a diaper and a pacifier around his neck. That's when he allegedly started shouting at them, "Goo goo gaga, I need a diaper change," and "Will you change my diaper for me?" Understandably, the girls were terrified, but they were able to ride away before the man got too close. After briefly hiding in an alleyway, they spotted an adult who they knew, who they immediately ran to, informing them about what was going on. The Good Samaritan safely brought the girls to their parents and also called the police. Around the same time, their adult son also drove through the park and was able to jot down the suspect's license plate. That's how authorities were later able to identify him as 45-year-old Wesley Worrell. While Worrell was arrested on August 7th and is now facing charges including solicitation of a minor and criminal trespass, it's since been revealed that this is far from his first offense. According to police, Worrell has a disturbing history of similar crimes dating as far back as 1999. Several of those crimes likewise involved public indecency and wearing a diaper in public. It seems many also involved Worrell targeting young girls between the ages of 8 and 12 years old. A spokesperson for the Tyler Police Department confirmed that at one point Worrell was even banned from visiting all parks within the city. It's unclear when and why this changed. Thankfully, neither of the victims in this incident were physically harmed. At the time of this recording, the 45-year-old remains in custody on a $600,000 bond at the Smith County Jail. Officials in Georgia say that they were investigating a disturbing act of violence this week after an active duty Army sergeant allegedly opened fire on his fellow soldiers inside one of the country's largest military bases. The whole thing unfolded at around 11 a.m. on Wednesday, August 6th, when 28-year-old Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics specialist assigned to the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, allegedly used a personal handgun to shoot 5 of his colleagues at Fort Stewart, a sprawling Army installation located roughly 240 miles southeast of Atlanta. The base is home to thousands of service members from the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division, as well as their families. According to witnesses, nearby soldiers, quote, immediately and without hesitation tackled Radford and wrestled the gun away before military police arrived. In the chaotic minutes after the shooting began, several soldiers risked their own safety to subdue Radford and tend to the wounded. One non-commissioned officer reportedly jumped on top of him to restrain him, while 4 others worked to stop the victim's bleeding until paramedics arrived. 6 soldiers have since been awarded medals for their bravery, including Staff Sergeant Melissa Taylor, who reportedly sprinted to aid one victim after hearing a gunshot and seeing smoke in the hallway. All 5 victims were rushed for medical treatment, with 3 undergoing surgery. Thankfully, all are now stable and expected to recover. Here's where things get even more unsettling, though. Authorities later revealed that at least 20 minutes before the shooting began, Radford sent a group text to relatives reading in part, quote, "My time is slowly coming to an end. I choose my destiny and my faith. I might not be with my mama, but I'm going to be in a better place. Despite pleas from family members telling him not to harm himself or anyone else, Radford allegedly followed one coworker to a maintenance area and shot him in the chest before wounding 4 more soldiers. The attack happened in the part of Fort Stewart that houses the 3rd Infantry Division's so-called Spartan Brigade, a unit the Army describes as its most modern land fighting force. That same brigade has experienced tragedy before, including the fatal shooting of an Army sergeant by another soldier less than 3 years ago. Investigators say a disagreement between Radford and one of the victims the day before may have played a role in this week's incident, though a clear motive remains unknown. His father has told reporters that Radford had complained about racism at Fort Stewart and was seeking a transfer, but officials have declined to comment on those claims. Radford's record shows no prior combat deployments or behavioral incidents, though he was arrested for DUI back in May, something his chain of command was reportedly unaware of. Former colleagues have since alleged that Radford endured relentless bullying over a stutter since joining the Army in 2018, with some saying others would mock him by pretending to have a speech impediment. Radford is now in pretrial confinement and will likely be transferred to a military detention center. The Army Criminal Investigation Division is leading the probe alongside the FBI. At the time of this recording, charges are still pending. Authorities say a 28-year-old former schoolteacher is now facing 2 counts of capital murder after allegedly killing a married couple in front of their children during a weekend hike. The victims, 43-year-old Clinton Brink and 41-year-old Kristen Brink, were visiting Devil's Den State Park with their daughters, ages 9 and 7, on Saturday, July 26th, when police say they were attacked by Andrew James McGann. Both parents died from multiple stab wounds. The couple's children escaped physically unharmed and are now staying with relatives. According to witnesses, just minutes before the murders, a man matching McGann's description was spotted on the trail. Dressed entirely in black and carrying a large mesh athletic bag, he allegedly gave the witnesses what they described as a death stare and bad energy. Others reported seeing a vehicle nearby with duct tape covering its license plate. Arkansas State Police say the killings appear to have been random, though that's still being looked into. Investigators stated that McGann was injured during the attack, and DNA collected at the scene was later matched to him. They also revealed McGann confessed to the murders during questioning. After a multi-day manhunt, police tracked McGann to a barbershop in Springdale on July 30th. He was arrested during the middle of a haircut, with footage of the arrest being released to the public last week. Items recovered from McGann's home were reportedly consistent with the crime. His arraignment is set for August 14th. While no official motive has been released behind the killings, there is some speculation that McGann might have been trying to get Clinton and Kristen out of the way before going after their 2 girls. This theory, while still very much unconfirmed, emerged in the days following the arrest, when troubling accounts surfaced from McGann's past as a teacher. Parents from a Texas elementary school where he worked in 2022 claim he acted inappropriately and displayed favoritism toward young female students, giving them candy, getting touchy-feely with them, and in one instance, allegedly telling a girl he wished she could be his girlfriend. While the school district claims their internal investigation found no evidence of misconduct, multiple parents at that Texas school have come out in recent days saying they warned officials about McGann's unsettling behavior. And though McGann ultimately resigned in May of 2023, he went on to teach in Oklahoma, passing standard background checks there. Additionally, he was just about to begin a new position in Springdale, Arkansas, when the murders occurred. The tragedy is even more gutting because the Brink family had also only recently moved to Arkansas from Montana looking for a fresh start. They were excited because Kristen had found a new work opportunity and they were going to be closer to Clinton's mother. The family was described as very outdoorsy, so they had gone out to Devil's Den that fateful day to start exploring the area around their new home. Sadly, they had no idea it was the last trip they'd ever take as a family. At the time of this recording, the investigation continues. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much everyone, and take care.